the up-and-coming star shared a new post. What do you do when your kid refuses to eat? Take him to a doctor named BFC, and he'll be back to normal in no time. The picture she uploaded showed my 10-year-old son chilling in the corner. You could spot my husband's left hand, sporting his wedding ring, clutching a French fry. When we rolled back home, my kid, who's got a sensitive tummy, knocked over the healthy meal I'd whipped up. You suburban moms just love to dwell on your problems. I prefer Jamie's mom. She takes me out for fried chicken and steak. My husband kept quiet for a second, then said, "You've been out of the game for a decade. Way too out of touch to get what kids are into these days." The next day, I printed out 3 copies of the divorce papers and custody waiver and slammed them in front of them. Before I dipped, I gave my son's head a gentle pat one last time. Go find your Jamie mom. You're divorcing over something so minor? Ryan frowned when he got the papers. Plus, Ethan's just a kid. He doesn't really get it. And he's kinda right. Little Ethan reacted straightforwardly. He grabbed the divorce docs and started dancing around like he won the lottery. "I don't want a bad mama, a mean mama. Dad, hurry up and sign it. Jamie's mom will take me racing to fancy tea parties and make me happy every day." Ryan rubbed his temples, clearly fed up, and shot me a heavy look. "Are you sure you've thought this through?" I knew what he was getting at. He thought this was his last shot at being nice to me. At the print shop, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. A woman with messy hair, split ends with a yellowish tint. Dark circles under my eyes screamed lack of sleep. I was wearing a bulky down jacket, looking just like any middle-aged woman who's long stopped caring about her look. My life revolved around the kids, and even more shocking were my dead, evasive eyes, filled with fear. 10 years of family life had turned the once vibrant and ambitious young woman into this. No job, no savings. The fame that once surrounded me had long vanished. I looked at Ethan, remembering when he was little, peacefully asleep with his long lashes closed. Back then, all the sacrifices felt worth it. But now, he was eagerly calling his Jamie mom to share the good news. "I've made up my mind." I heard my own voice quietly breaking the silence. The next day, news broke that rising star Emma and entertainment mogul Ryan were spotted leaving a bar together late at night, making it to the trending list. The paparazzi shots were blurry, but Emma's bold and youthful smile was still clear. She was behind the drum set, looking cool and passionate. Ryan, always the generous type, had cleared out the bar and rented the place, becoming her sole audience. The most viral pic showed his back to the camera, staring at Emma on stage, with the spotlight on her, creating an iconic image that blew up online. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. He's so in love. And he loves her like nurturing a flower, not with possession, but by empowering her. Emma was such an ordinary newbie, and now she's shining so bright. Thousands of netizens flooded the comments, captivated by Ryan's love philosophy, respecting a woman's career and giving her wings to fly. But the entertainment game moves fast. No one remembers. Years ago, there was a young woman, stubborn and ambitious, who snagged Best Newcomer and Youngest Best Actress awards for her debut film. At that dazzling moment during the awards, Ryan leaned over to his assistant and whispered, "Give her 2 choices. Either get me her contact info or blacklist her." So, Ryan had finally learned to respect others, just not me. After Ryan and I quietly tied the knot, he turned down invites from top directors. "Your priority now is getting pregnant. We don't need your income, so why wear yourself out working on set every day?" After Ethan was born, he even replaced my original agent to refuse offers for family reality shows. "I don't want to see any more of your crazy fans. I hate how they look at you." He even broke and tossed away the memory card filled with my audition clips. "You just need to be my movie star." It was like he was a kid who'd found the world's greatest treasure, carefully locking me away in the safest, most secure vault. That vault held me for the best 10 years of my career. 3 years after Ethan was born, I officially announced my retirement from acting, leaving the entertainment world indefinitely to focus on being a good wife and mother. Now, at 4 a.m, I woke up drenched in sweat in a 600 won a month rental in Hengdian. The air was stifling. Cicadas screeched. It's been 6 months since the divorce. Getting back to work was way harder than I imagined. Most of the connections I once had were gone. These days, barely anyone even knows my name. But I didn't give up. I kept a small portion of the divorce settlement as an emergency fund and spent the rest on myself. I hired a personal trainer to lose weight and get my figure back. I flew to different places for a full facial evaluation. I poured money into acting workshops taught by top instructors, picking up the basics of voice, stage presence, and posture that I had neglected for years. But the results? Would you play a bit part? It was a tiny role in a web series, playing a grandma, 2 lines of dialogue, 300 yuan for a day. I quickly put down my lunchbox. Of course I'm down. That bit part gig lasted over half a year. The competition at the bottom of this industry is insanely fierce. Most actors don't make it after a few years and gradually leave, crushed by life's realities or financial pressures. The roles I got were mostly maids, handmaidens, or grandmas wearing wigs. Since I hadn't been in the spotlight for so long, I cherished every role, no matter how small, and played them with enthusiasm. In the past, my rise was too smooth, but this time I faced all the scheming, backstabbing, joy, and sorrow I'd never encountered before. Sometimes a young girl who snatched a role from you would bring you a blanket in the snow when the heater broke. Sometimes a casting director with a warm smile would force drinks on young male actors at dinner. There were also moments when a big star showed up, and everyone rushed over excitedly to ask for autographs and photos. And when a fellow bit part actor made it big, we'd all share a hot pot, dreaming we might be the next breakout star. Amid the busyness and bittersweet moments, I dealt with rats in the basement and pulled all-nighters on set. Before I knew it, I had left behind the bitterness of my marriage and the whole divorce drama. It was laughable. There wasn't even time for sadness. Even when people gossiped about the scandals and romances of the entertainment world, and someone brought up Emma and Ryan, it took me a second to realize who they were talking about. If you ask me, making it big means finding a sponsor. Look at Emma. She's only 20 and didn't hesitate to become a stepmom in a second marriage. A young stuntman whispered conspiratorially, "I heard she played her cards right. First she won over the kid, and before you know it, she had the dad wrapped around her finger." What do you think the ex-wife feels about that now? Some people were indignant, others clicked their tongues in amazement. But I tuned it all out as I fished the last piece of tripe from the spicy hot pot. Just then, my phone rang. It was my former agent, the one whose career tanked after she was fired. Now that she's heard I'm trying to make a comeback, she came back to me without hesitation, ready to be my agent again. "Mia!" My agent was practically yelling on the other end. "There's a director who wants you to audition for the lead role. It's an S-tier project, the same director who made your breakout film. She saw some of your recent performances and is really interested in talking to you. I'll send you the script to check out." She forwarded me the director's new contact info. I smiled, feeling awesome. This is amazing! We haven't seen each other in years. In my excitement, I drank a bit too much. Before leaving, I snapped a pic of the hot pot tripe and posted it with the blurred title on my feed. You never know what good things are waiting around the corner until the very end. However, what I didn't expect was this. When I sobered up, there were 29 missed calls on my phone, all from Ryan. Underneath my post were a string of comments from him. "Congrats, and the content. What projects? Need me to pull some strings? Something's happened with Ethan. I want to talk to you. Are you in Hengdian? I'm passing through. Mia, why aren't you picking up my calls? Since the divorce, I hadn't had much contact with him. If he's this desperate to find me, it can't be good news, so I didn't reply and instead silently blocked his number. But the next day, while waiting in line for a casting interview, I saw a familiar car pull up in front of me. "I've been looking everywhere for you." The window rolled down slowly, revealing Ryan's slightly irritated face. I frowned and blocked the curious looks behind me. "You shouldn't park here. Let's find somewhere else to talk." "In the cafe?" "Are we enemies now? Why did you block me?" "Just because we split. Does that mean Ethan isn't your son anymore?" Ryan, rarely losing his cool, was visibly upset. "He's sick and I couldn't reach you." It was weird to see him so concerned about our kid. Maybe it's because I always handled everything at home so well. Knowing he was busy with work, I'd take Ethan to the hospital by myself, even when he was sick. This made Ryan think Ethan was easy to take care of. Later, it hit me that while I was up late worrying over Ethan on those sleepless nights, Ryan was probably out enjoying romantic nights with his new flame. Seeing my indifferent expression, Ryan held back his emotions and continued. A few days ago, Ethan had severe vomiting and diarrhea. After taking him to the hospital, they diagnosed it as acute gastroenteritis. He's lost a lot of weight and he's been crying, asking where his mom is. I stirred my coffee, thinking about the latest industry gossip. Isn't Emma busy with a new reality show? It's normal to be a bit tied up. Ryan paused, stunned. What does she have to do with this? I'm talking about our son being sick. I cut him off. Anything else? Kids overeat sometimes. Just take good care of him. After all, Ethan's favorite person is Emma, right? I have other things to do, so I'll be going. I wasn't saying this out of spite toward a child. I truly meant it. Ethan was born premature, as small as a kitten, and spent 2 weeks in an incubator. At the time, I named him Ethan, simply wishing for him to live a peaceful life. Because of his health issues, I did everything I could to care for him, to make him look as lively and strong as any other child, even though I'd never cooked before. I tried every recipe imaginable to ensure he got enough nutrients, despite being a picky eater. But as he said, it was all just self-satisfaction on my part. Emma took him out for fast food, spicy hot pot, and ice cream 3 times a day. And he was happier than ever. If he's so willing to accept someone else as his mom, that's his choice. I left the cafe calmly, thinking to myself, no matter what, Ryan's family has money and power. Emma, being in the public eye, wouldn't be able to neglect even one child. When I arrived at the set for the audition, there were a lot of actors present. The line stretched down the hallway. This time, it was an audition for a sci-fi show set in an alternate universe. I hadn't worked on this kind of project before, so I used the waiting time to go over the script again. However, I was quickly interrupted by a commotion. 3 black vans pulled up downstairs, blocking the entrance completely. Drivers rushed out to open the car doors and hold up umbrellas. The door opened slowly and out stepped Emma, dressed in a striking red leather jacket and large hoop earrings. Then, a little boy in matching red overalls stepped out. He was quite handsome, but his face was pale and he looked glum, with droopy eyes. Wow, what an adorable kid. Is he here to audition too? Small murmurs filled the hallway. Outside the window, Emma picked up the little boy, kissing both sides of his cheeks before waving and smiling at everyone. She's so lucky, having such a handsome and well-behaved kid without any of the pain of giving birth. Yeah, she seems like a great mom. I squeezed in next to the window, despite the scorching weather. Ethan was dressed in long sleeves and pants, with only his small, skinny wrists and ankles exposed. The clothes looked trendy and stylish, but for a child, they'd probably cause a rash from the heat. As I was thinking about this, the little boy walking with Emma suddenly lifted his head and started looking around. Those wide, blinking eyes instantly made everyone around gush with admiration. Oh my God, he's just too cute. Isn't the government encouraging people to have more kids? I want one just like this. The little boy seemed to struggle a bit, as if he wanted to walk on his own, but Emma held him tightly, smiling all the way as she carried him through the VIP entrance. I instinctively stepped aside and sighed. Then I felt like I was overthinking it and tried to push the thought away, returning to my script. The crowd gushed over the angelic child for a while. But half an hour later, a popular young actor was covering his ears. A veteran actor had taken out his hearing aid. A reality TV star rolled her eyes dramatically. Seriously, how is he still crying? He's a big boy now. Yeah, this is a bit much. Poor Emma. It can't be easy. He's so picky with food, honestly. Let him go hungry for a few meals, and he'll learn his lesson. Inside Emma's private dressing room, the sound of the boy throwing things and crying in frustration kept coming. Emma was constantly trying to soothe him. Sweetie, what do you want to eat? I'll order it for you on my phone. Here's the tablet. Play some games, okay? Just stop crying. The boy angrily pushed over the makeup mirror. I don't want it. You lied to me. You said we were going to see. I don't want to talk to you. He was sobbing so hard that no one could understand what he was trying to say. I could only guess because I was so familiar with the situation. I quietly hid my face behind the script. If anyone wants to deal with being the mom of a crying boy, let them. I'm done with that. Oh, I waited, not sure how long it had been. Ethan finally cried himself out. I was completely immersed in the script. Mia, the director is calling you. It's your turn, I responded. Upon entering, I noticed that the director had changed a lot since our first meeting years ago. I'd heard her recent projects got mixed reviews, but she kept a steady pace, releasing one film a year. I took a deep breath and was about to start my performance when suddenly, there was a knock on the glass door. Everyone turned to look, only to see Ethan pressing his tearful face against the door, while Emma stood next to him, her expression seemingly helpless, though a cold smile played at the corner of her lips. It was clear she was trying to use Ethan to mess with me. I lowered my gaze, walked out decisively, and said, "Be quiet." Maybe Ethan had never seen me this cold before. In his surprise, he actually stopped crying. Returning to the room, I apologized to everyone and then recalled the plot of the script. In the story, the heroine is accidentally stranded on the moon, with only a communicator to connect her to her family on Earth. During the rare moments she manages to get through to them, she realizes her family has moved on with their lives and doesn't need her anymore. The plot revolves around her struggle to survive on the moon. All the reasons she once had for returning to Earth had disappeared. All the people she thought were more important than her own life had abandoned her. One by one, though this film was billed as a dark comedy, it felt more like the autobiography of the nearly 60-year-old solitary director. The scene I was performing was the one where the heroine, inside the space capsule, realizes that no one needs her anymore. After my performance, the director spoke up. "I didn't expect you to return to acting. How's the life of a wealthy housewife treating you?" The comment was rude, even slightly sarcastic. I calmly replied, "Not much different. It's like going to the moon and suddenly waking up back on Earth, realizing it was all just a dream." The director stroked her chin thoughtfully. "Most of the actors who auditioned for this scene portrayed it as sad or heartbroken. Why didn't you cry? Because I think the heroine has probably cried many times before reaching this point, right? It's not like this is the first time she's realized she's not needed. This time, though, she's truly reached the end of the road." I shrugged. I feel like she'd be more at peace with it by now. After the audition, Ethan trailed behind me, sniffling, biting his lip and fingers. I said, "Why are you following me?" "It's not me. It's my feet. They just want to follow you. Mom, were you acting in that little room just now? Mom, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry." His whining was giving me a headache. "Stop calling me Mom." "Go find your Emma mom, Ethan." As usual, he tried to throw a tantrum. No, I'll take it back, Mom. Can you come back? Please?" He rolled up his sleeves and squeezed out a few tears. "Look, I've gotten so skinny. Don't you feel bad for me?" His little arms were covered in heat rash, with scratch marks all over them. I frowned. "Ethan, you're 10 years old. You can read, right?" I didn't want to drag it out, so I got straight to the point. "You know that your dad and I are divorced. Not only that, but you saw the custody waiver agreement. You were the one pushing us to sign it. So I'm not your legal guardian anymore." Ethan looked like he'd been hit by lightning. "At the time, I clearly explained to you what giving up custody meant, and the lawyer even broke it down for you twice in terms a kid could understand. It means that from now on, you'll live with your dad. If Emma is your dad's partner, you'll live as a family with her. You were eager to agree back then." I looked down at him. I used to always crouch down to speak to him at eye level. But now, I spoke slowly, making sure each word landed. "Our bond as mother and son is thin. Don't come looking for me again." And with that, I walked away. I had another audition later that afternoon. After walking quite a distance, I glanced back and noticed that Ethan wasn't throwing a tantrum or rolling on the ground, crying his eyes out. When he really cried, his voice was so small. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Director Lee congratulating me on passing the audition. After 10 years, I was back on set. I soon discovered that Emma had joined the cast too, playing a relatively minor supporting role. It seemed like the investors forced her in. They even made the writers tweak the script to fit her. Some assistants nearby whispered gossip. I couldn't make sense of it either. With Ryan's influence, why go through the trouble of getting her a small supporting role? And for someone like Emma, a rising star, why isolate herself filming a movie where her role wasn't even prominent? In the end, the only explanation I could think of was fate has a funny way of bringing enemies together. Clearly, Emma wasn't happy with the arrangement either. When we were alone in the makeup room, she couldn't resist throwing a few passive-aggressive comments my way. Ryan sure is kind, getting you the lead role. I walked right up to her. Not everyone needs someone else to secure their roles for them. Unlike you? Emma let out a cold laugh, obviously not believing me. I don't know what lies you've been feeding your son, thinking you could drive a wedge between us. In the end, all it takes is a new game console for a kid to forget about you. I was fed up. I don't care how you raise Ethan, but don't go too far. He's not too young to remember things. Emma widened her eyes, feigning innocence. Ha! What have I ever done to him? I've treated him well, giving him whatever he wants. Oh. But I guess once Ryan and I have our own child, your kid's probably going to turn into a lost cause, right? Annoyed by the noise, I simply walked out. After that, I made sure to avoid being alone with her, and things stayed relatively calm on the surface. Until 2 weeks later, when the investors came to visit the set. Everyone knew Ryan wasn't there for the film. He was there for someone. Emma's scenes had already been filmed, and the director had let her leave early. That day I had to film a major scene in the desert, so I spent hours walking back and forth under the scorching sun. When I returned to the hotel, I spotted Ryan leaning against the window in the hallway, biting on a cigarette. He had quit smoking after we had Ethan, so I glanced at him, puzzled, and was about to head back to my room. Mia, Ryan called out helplessly. I didn't finish what I wanted to say last time. Oh, is there something else? Ryan hesitated, avoiding the point. Filming must be tough. Huh? I saw you out there under the sun. Your lips are all chapped. I took a cautious step back, my mind racing through all possible scenarios. You're not thinking about replacing me and pushing Emma into this role, are you? Ryan looked stunned for a moment. When did I ever say that? Isn't that what you're implying? I shot him a fierce glare. Try it and I'll expose your little love affair. I've got recordings of your sweetheart's juicy climb to the top. It was a recording I secretly made during Emma's taunting in the makeup room, just in case. And by the way, Emma is staying on the top floor, not on this one. You won't find her here. The next morning, I woke up to find a bouquet of lilies of the valley mixed with some dewy dandelions placed outside my door. There was a card inside the bouquet. Ryan's bold handwriting was scrawled across the card. I'm sorry, I was going to bring Ethan so we could both apologize to you in person. We miss you. These dandelions are from him. They're not very pretty. You can throw them away if you want. The kid always makes you angry and sad. I gave him a scolding. Underneath was a smaller card with a shaky row of words scribbled. I'm sorry, Mom. Dad is a fickle jerk. Don't let him fool you. Don't make up with him. Hope Mom is happy. I thought to myself, you two really have a sense of humor. I didn't dwell on it. My focus wasn't on them anymore. Instead, Mia, here you are. Eric, the male lead of the film, approached me, drenched in sweat and wearing a rabbit costume. He took off the headpiece to reveal a youthful face. He was a film student, supposedly handpicked by the director, although he wasn't famous yet. That could change after this movie. Let's rehearse our blocking, and we can run our lines again, Eric said eagerly, pulling out a small notebook from somewhere. Last time, you mentioned the character's arc. I couldn't help but laugh. What's all this for? Oh, you don't understand that movie you did back then? It's part of our course material. I'm still a bit dizzy. Can't believe I'm actually acting with my idol. Slow down, slow down. Don't get heat stroke. I quickly helped him take off the costume. You can wear the rabbit suit during the actual shoot. Right, he said with a grin, despite his handsome features. There was no trace of arrogance or pretension in his demeanor, just a natural, unpolished charm. That must have been why the director chose him out of all the beautiful students at the Film Academy. The rest of the shoot went smoothly since I'd blocked Ryan. He'd started sending letters to the set instead, mostly updates about Ethan. Now that Ryan was taking care of Ethan himself, he'd realized how difficult the kid really was. It seemed Ethan had hit a rebellious phase, and the two of them were constantly clashing, looking at photos of Ryan in a silly Psyduck tie, taking Ethan to a water park. I couldn't help but think, what's the point of stepping into the role of father after 10 years? Ha! Antar. Are you feeling proud of yourself now? Emma caught a glimpse of the photos and smirked dismissively. How pathetic. You've taken a man who could have sailed the world and chained him to the dock, using family and kids to trap him, turning him into such a boring person. It's not like I made him change. And then I said, for the first time seriously looking at the young face in front of me, one day you'll grow old too, and maybe you'll become boring. But who hasn't been young once? I received the letters but never replied. I didn't want to share my life closely with anyone anymore. If I'm lucky, one day they'll see me on TV. The day of the wrap party was set to shoot my final major scene. It was a big event, and for promotional reasons, not only were all the crew members present, but exclusive media outlets and investors also came. The scene involved a large-scale explosion. The director chose not to use special effects, instead simulating a grand firework display as if it were exploding above the moon. Ryan and Ethan also came, both keeping a low profile. Ethan looked like he wanted to come over but was too scared to. As soon as action was called, filming began. Wearing a heavy helmet, I looked up at the earth, watching the fireworks display just for me, as countless falling sparks formed a galaxy in front of my eyes. Mia, Mom. In the distance, I vaguely heard someone calling my name. The explosion coordinator seemed completely panicked, shouting something urgently, but he was too far away for me to hear clearly. I focused and noticed that the planned explosion points had been changed for some reason. One was dangerously close to where Ryan had rushed onto the set, and the other was right where I had been standing. But now, due to a last-minute camera adjustment, Eric was standing there. There was no time to think, seeing the explosion about to go off. I dashed forward and tackled Eric to the ground, shielding his face along with mine. No matter what, the movie couldn't lose its male lead. And for actors, their face is almost more important than their life. A loud explosion rang out. On impulse, I glanced back. Ryan had probably been trying to pull me away, but now he was lying on the ground, his face twisted in pain. He stared at me intensely, and through the smoke and dust, a single tear fell. What kind of crappy hospital is this? I was still in the hallway when I heard the commotion coming from the hospital room. Seriously, why can't I stay in a VIP room? Do I have to share with this pretty boy? I fought the urge to roll my eyes. Ryan, there was an explosion on set, and the hospital was full of injured people. If you don't like the conditions here, call a helicopter to pick you up and free up a bed. Ryan's upper body was wrapped in bandages, and his face was scrunched up in discomfort. As soon as he saw me, he turned his back, looking angry. Ethan, why are you lying in your dad's hospital bed? Where am I supposed to rest? The dutiful son, Ethan, rubbed his eyes and reluctantly climbed off the bed. You don't even look injured. Why are you yelling so loud? I was holding a bucket of fish soup and greeted Eric. How are you feeling today? The incident had caused a bit of a stir, but fortunately, there were no serious injuries. The cause of the accident was still under investigation. Eric struggled to sit up, and I quickly went over to help him. Tisk, pretty boys can't handle anything? Ryan muttered coldly, a broken rib? When I was young, I wouldn't even go to the hospital for that. Eric smiled innocently, but Mia rushed in to save me. Still, falling on a rock is definitely better than getting burned. After all, burn scars are ugly. Mia definitely wouldn't like that. Eric joked, men relying on their looks. That's not going to last. Ryan scoffed. Some people think their money is what makes them attractive. Ethan chimed in, Big brother, you said you'd take me to shoot a commercial. Is it fun? A voice gritting its teeth rose from the hospital bed. Ethan, your dad is right here, not dead yet. Me, 3 men, including a little boy, and every day the hospital room was full of noise. Even the young nurses came to watch the drama unfold. On the day of discharge, everyone from the crew came to pick up Eric. But Ryan was alone, having sent his dutiful son off to school. Out of everyone injured in the accident, Ryan was the most seriously hurt, so while the others were discharged, he was the only one still left behind. As I was packing Eric's things, Ryan suddenly spoke up. Maybe it's too late to say anything now, but things between me and Emma weren't like what you thought. I did admire her, but only from the perspective of wanting to sign a potential new talent for the company. It was the first time we talked about this since the divorce. What new talent needs you to personally sign them? Don't you find that ridiculous? I decided to lay everything out. Besides, our issues weren't mainly about anyone else. It's true, though. Emma's got a unique personality. She insisted on negotiating directly with me. You don't need to keep going over this. After finishing packing, I suddenly felt very tired. Ryan, if I could, I wish I'd never met you. How could you dull all my shine and then resent me for the dimness you created? Other than being younger, how is Eric better than me? I paused in my tracks. I only admire him, I said, throwing out one last remark before leaving. Ryan was definitely overthinking it. For me, I wouldn't make the same mistake for anyone ever again. The results of the accident investigation caused an uproar. Oh my God, this is like a behind-the-scenes drama. That day, hashtags for Emma became a trending topic. In fact, what she did was quite amateurish. She had only intended to bribe the explosion coordinator to scare me a little as a warning, but things had spiraled out of control in the rush. At the same time, multiple discussion threads popped up online, detailing Emma's rise to fame. Emma had 2 sugar daddies before she debuted, both of whom left their families for her. I mean, why are people shipping this couple? Ryan is no better. As netizens dug deeper, they uncovered more. Eventually, they found out about Ryan's ex-wife, my true identity. Oh no, I feel so bad for her. She gave up her career at its peak for marriage, and this is how it ended. The noise and buzz on the internet came and went quickly, but it did bring me hundreds of thousands of new followers. Still, I was too busy to pay much attention to any of it, not until the movie premiered. Because of the previous accident, gossip, and all the buzz, many people were already curious about the film. After the first screenings, the reviews were overwhelmingly positive. Many said the film made them laugh and cry, and it had been a long time since they'd seen such an excellent movie in theaters. Some people also remembered the final line, when the heroine ran alone on the moon, deciding never to return to Earth. Fireworks bloomed, and she whispered to herself, "The moon is not a source of light. It neither heats nor shines, yet people still see it and marvel at its beauty." Bonus, Ethan's diary. Today is my 12th birthday. Dad was really busy with work, and even though he rushed back, it was almost midnight when he arrived. He told me to wait, but I knew it would take at least an hour for him to get back from the airport, even if he ordered the driver to take off right away. It wouldn't help. He originally said he'd take me out for the whole day, and even gave the housekeeper and nanny the day off. That's how he is, always breaking his promises. No wonder Mom left him. I sat alone at home, staring at my birthday cake. It's funny how people are, even when we can't finish a cake. We're always afraid there won't be enough. So we buy a huge one. I turned on the TV and saw an awards ceremony on. I focused on it and, sure enough, soon saw a familiar face. Mom was sitting in the guest seats, wearing a pale yellow evening gown. She looked beautiful and elegant. When I was little, I always remembered Mom in an apron, with her hair in a low ponytail, rushing around in a hurry. Back then, I would always get into trouble, and Mom would always forgive me. But this time, she didn't want to forgive me anymore. She once told me, "The human heart is like a mirror. If you insist on hitting it over and over again, you have to accept that one day it might shatter." I heard the announcer on TV say they were about to reveal the Best Actress winner. I hurried to blow out the candles, wishing that Mom would win. A few seconds later, I heard Mom's name. Mom's smile was so beautiful. I thought she wouldn't remember me. But to my surprise, she smiled at the camera and said, "Happy birthday, Ethan." I'm so greedy. I made another wish. I wished for Mom to always be happy,